How you doing, and welcome to my channel. Now, as you can see today, I'm having a look at the brand new Batman 2.0 from the Batman vs Superman movie, and this is the deluxe version. As you can see there, just having a quick look at the box there, we have a side profile of the Batfleck, nice gold shimmer off everything. Up in the corner there, we have a smaller image of Batman fighting Superman. Nice bit of artwork, as I said, nice gold sheen off of everything. At the side there we have some text, Batman vs Superman, and then on the back we have the usual details and information about Hot Toys and some warnings on the back. And then just lifting this card off there, the sleeve, you can, if I can get it off, there we go. We are presented with the figure. Inside the box, a whole lot of stuff inside here, guys. Three head sculpts altogether. So this is the deluxe version with the diorama, and on the back there you can see we have an image of the Batman with the Superman logo in front of him, and I think this might have been a movie poster at some point. But guys, there's a lot to unravel here, so it is going to be a long one, so buckle up. So there we have for the box. And just getting everything out of the box there, you can see the two clamshells there. We have all of his array of weapons. We've the three head sculpts, the hair piece, one of the face plates there. On this clamshell we have the diorama and the cape and some other bits and bobs, the flight pole and the stands for the spare head sculpts. So without further ado, let's get them out of the box and get into the, actually let's have a quick pan of them before we get into the details. So really quickly, I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. We're going to have a quick pan of the figure, and I'm going to show you the wired cape. You can see that it is quite a strong wire, and it does actually hold. It does actually put the cape into some quite dynamic poses, which, dare I say, is very unusual for a Hot Toys figure to actually have such a strong wired cape in it. It's a first for me anyway, to be able to actually pose a wired cape, a dynamic pose finally from Hot Toys. So kudos to them for eventually getting it right after all these years. Just having a quick look at the figure again, I have his foot on the base. I've tried to hang him off the ladder, as I've seen in some photographs, and it's virtually impossible to get him just hanging off the ladder. If I lift him up there, you can see everything is pulling forward there. There's so much strain on everything. Something's going to give. Either that ladder's going to get reefed out of its position, or Batman's going to fall. It's not going to hold. Maybe if I glued it in better, but I really don't think so. There's no, look at the bending and the stress that's under. So there is no actually hanging him out of the ladder like I've seen in some photographs. So I do actually have to put his foot down on the base, you know, just to get that little bit more support, which is very unfortunate. I would have liked to have been able to hang him off it. But as for the cape, it's absolutely fantastic that we can get that kind of dynamic posing out of it, and it looks really, really good. And just while I have it here, you can see that the Batarang has these pieces that plug in, just like most other Batman figures, or all other Batman figures. I think the grappling gun does have the little, you know, wire kind of sticking out of it. So we have two different ones there, one with an open kind of grappling part and one with a closed part, and that one there has the coil on it there. So there we have a quick pan of the figure before we get into the details. Like I said, anybody who's hanging him out just out of the ladder is asking for trouble, if you ask me. So okay, so here we have almost all of his accessories laid out, with the exception of the diorama base. And honestly, there's that much with this guy, I didn't know where to start. We have three head sculpts, we have three face plates, we have two capes, with the diorama base. There's so much with him. It's crazy. It's fantastic. I'm absolutely over the moon that I've got the deluxe version. But having a quick look, we will have a closer look at these a bit later on, but we'll have a quick look at this head sculpt just to point out there that finally Hot Toys have started to do it, and I hope they do it further on. He comes with a spare head sculpt stand. Actually, he comes with 2 spare head sculpt stands, and you can see it's shaped like the bat emblem that's on his chest, and you just pop them into place there. And like I said, we get 2 of them for the 2 spare head sculpts, and finally you can display your head sculpts, which is fantastic. You can see there we have the uncowled head sculpt, and it does articulate, obviously, a nice likeness to Ben Affleck back in the day. And he does come with this kind of switch out hairpiece at the front that changes the look of the hair. Like I said, we'll have a closer look at it a bit later on. And then we have a second head sculpt again we'll have a look at later on, but this one's articulated, as you can see there, from side to side. And we have a faceplate there that comes with him that's interchangeable. And we also have, if I just grab it there, we have a head sculpt that's on the figure out of the box, and that is a fully sculpted, unposable head sculpt, which is great to have all these options. Then we have his grappling hook cables, as we looked at earlier on. This one here, as I pointed out, has kind of it coiled up, still kind of coiled up. It's like it's still deploying, and it's open at the top there. And then we have a straight one there which is closed, and these wires aren't plastic, they actually are a metal. They're made out of a metal, which gives them a bit more of a rigidity or a bit more support, although the coiled up one isn't as supported. I think you can see on camera there that the straight one isn't as thick, the wire isn't as thick as the coiled up one. We have 2 of his kind of spare grappling hook heads that mount to the grappling gun, to the grapple gun. We have this little square piece here, as you can see, with like a diamond shape on it, and that goes on when you're using the head sculpt, the non-cowled head sculpts. This piece goes into the center just to keep the cape all in place and kind of cover up where, you know, to keep it all in place basically. We'll have a look at that a bit later on. And then we have his weapon. Nice chunk of plastic. It looks the part. There is a bit of a wash in it, a small little bit of weathering. We have an extendable stock. We have color separation there. These hooks there, these sling hooks, are real metal. You know, they're like little miniature 6-scale sling hooks, which is nice for them to be there and made out of metal. There is a bit of a wash effect through it, but nothing outrageous. Then we have the bat stamp, as I call it, the device that he uses to brand criminals. And I would have liked to have seen this painted like it was hot, because in the movie it's roaring red when he brands them, and I would have liked to have seen it kind of red. He does have a specific hand for holding it, which is nice for Hot Toys to add, that he actually has a specific hand for holding that device. Then we have 4 batarangs made out of plastic. Everything's made out of plastic really. There's nothing die cast except for those wires there and the little hooks on the gun. Nicely done batarangs, a little bit of speckling on them and a wash in them. They do look like metal. The edges of them are done really fine, and there's a silver effect on them or a metallic effect on them to make them look sharp. They look the part, they look nice. Then we have 2 of his grenades, 2 of his kryptonite grenades. You can see one of them is open and deployed and one of them is closed. I would have liked to seen a bit of green coming out of that one, maybe asking a bit much. Then we have the faceplate that comes in the box. My least favourite faceplate. Not the best, but we'll have a look at that a bit later on. We'll have a look at them all side by side. Then we have his grappling hook. Looks absolutely fantastic, guys. I'll just show you what I meant by these spare heads that mount to the grappling gun. If I can get this right, they hook onto the side of the batarang. Or not the batarang, sorry, the grappling gun. And you can see there is an absolutely fantastic wood grain effect done on the grip of it there. Probably the best wood grain effect I've ever seen on a 1/6 scale figure. It just looks absolutely fantastic. A little bit of silver wash in the mechanism of it, and then on the top we have a little bit of wash as well to make it look a bit used and battered. Oh, I dropped one of those heads out of the grappling gun. Not the most secure, to be quite honest. But yeah, absolutely fantastic looking grappling gun. Nothing moves. There's no moving parts in it, but it doesn't need to be. It's not necessary. Then we have his hands. We have two kind of open palmed gripping hands for gripping the weapons. We have two relaxed palms. We have kind of batarang holding hand. That's exactly what that is, a batarang holding hand. And we have that hand for holding the bat stamp. And he also has two closed fists on the figure as well. So a nice array of hands as well. You can see the details in them. There's nice creasing effect in the glove. There's these little kind of bronzy, goldy kind of accents on the knuckle pieces. Do have a bit of wash running through them to make them look a bit worn. They're not just solid gold. It's not a big blob of gold paint. There is a bit of wash in them to make them look a bit worn in the knuckle areas. And then we have the textured palm on the, on it as well, which looks really, really nice. And then if you get the deluxe version, you also get this wired cape that we went through a few minutes ago as well, which is really nice of Hot Toys to do. I wish they'd do this as standard, not just the deluxe versions, but give us two capes, give us a drape and a wired, What a hefty cape, what a hefty wire running through that cape. I've never come across such a hefty wire in a Hot Toys cape. There's 4 wires running throughout the cape for the dynamic posing, and just having a look at the bottom of it there, you can see how frayed it is at the bottom and the dirt and the grime from it dragging along the ground. And it seems, as we seen earlier on, it is quite capable of dynamically posing. So kudos to Hot Toys again for adding that. So there we have it for the accessories, guys. So I'll do a quick rundown of the figure with the non-articulated head sculpt on it. Actually, no, I'll have a look at the diorama base first. That's what we'll do. We'll have a look at the diorama base. And here we have the diorama base. And it is super, super modular. I absolutely love this base. I love what Hot Toys are doing with the bases now, and they're really starting to innovate now. We do have a porthole here for a crotch grabber, for a normal crotch grabber, and then at the back there we have the flight pole kind of insert. So if you do have a spare crotch grabber, you can use that as well. And the reason for that is because if you don't get the deluxe version, can I get this off now? If you don't get the deluxe version, all you get is this part here as a base with a crotch grabber. So that's why that hole is there. A little bit underwhelming if that's all you got, to be honest with you. And it's quite light and flimsy. But just having a quick look at it there, you can see that it is made to look like a fire escape grate, I think. Some kind of, fire escape grate. There is a damage effect to it. And there is some nice wash and weathering in it. I do like the bit of detail where the damage has fully exposed the metal. It's nice and shiny. It looks like it's just been ripped off. And it's fully exposed in the metal. You can see it's all raised up there. It has some exposed dimpled parts. And, it's all twisted and bent. And it's nicely done. And all the way through it, there's a weathered wash, silver kind of wash running through it just to make it look like it is a platform that's been walked on many, many times. And then on the bottom we have just kind of a raised part there for the base and some support. And then we have the brickwork, and absolutely fantastic looking brickwork. You can see that it is all separate bricks all running through it, or well, it looks like separate bricks. There's quite a bit of relief to them. There's a nice little effect of kind of like, it looks like mildew, like water's been sitting on all of the horizontal bits of it, which looks really nice. There's a bit of mildew in some of the bricks, and on the bottom there we have some more brickwork of some like broken rocks sitting on the back there, and then that little hole there just to allow for the flight pole to sit in. And then on the bottom here, even more kind of damaged effect to it. If I can get the light in there, if I can get it to sit right there, we go. Just, more attention to detail of kind of a, broken concrete, and it looks like there used to be, or at some point there's algae, like where there was water sitting there. So this is quite modular, as I said. You've seen this part sitting on here, but as you so choose, you can flip it around and you can pop that onto there, and you now have a completely different scenario, which to me looks more accurate for the grated part. Having the ladder there looks more like a fire escape, and having the ladder there, it's more fitting in my opinion. Again, some more solid brickwork with cracks and damage running through it, nice bit of wash running through it. And behind the ladder we have some more of that red brick, but it's got kind of, are they bullet holes in it? And it's got mold and algae on it, and it's got a wash running through it, and there's a bit of wear through it, and there's cracks in it. It looks absolutely fantastic. And then at the bottom there you can see there is like a big chunk of what looks like a big slab of cement, or a big chunk of cement that's been thrown on the bottom there, and looks really well. And then of course we have the ladder, and as I mentioned earlier on, it's a bit weak. It could have done with having a bit more support in it. That ladder is kind of coming out of situ already. I can feel it kind of starting to try and come out of position. If I was going to have Batman hanging out, as I mentioned earlier on, it's not possible. I'd have to put more support in to hang Batman out. But I don't know how some people have done it in the photographs I've seen. There is a hole here in this part. I don't know if you can see. There's a hole been put in here as if another support was intended to go in, but the support hasn't been put there. I don't know if that's an error on my one, or anybody else who has it can tell me whether there is actually a support on that part there. But on my one, there's a hole there for a support to go in, but there isn't actually a support, which leaves it with just a hole in the wall, a square hole in the wall there, which is a bit, if I had that support in it, I think it would have held a bit better. So there we have it for the modular diorama base. And if I can get this off again, there we go. You can see at the bottom there's even more, that's going to be covered with the grated part, but they've still put that detail in. Again, all kind of cracked cement, mold and mildew in it. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, a great little diorama to have. And if you don't want to use it with your Batman, there's so many other figures you could use that with. That brick part there you could use with your Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, if you're getting that Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, which I am. So yeah, you could use that for so many other figures, not just your Batman figure if you don't want to. So there we have it for the diorama base. And here we have the Batfleck, pretty much straight up as he comes out of box. He does have the head sculpt on him that's on him in the box, which is the non-articulated one, the full molded one. And we have his closed fists on him that I didn't show earlier on. But starting off in my usual fashion, we'll start from bottom to top. Actually, another thing, the drape cape. We have the drape cape on him there, which again is one of Hot Toys' better drape capes. I'm not underwhelmed. I'm not, appalled by it, as I quite often am with their capes. It's not custom cape standard, but as for Hot Toys and their track record with capes, it's actually not too bad at all. And it's nice that in the deluxe version they gave us a wired cape and the drape cape, depending on how you want to pose them. I will say straight off the bat, guys, before I go into the details, this is a tank of a figure. This is a monster of a figure. It is massive, it is bulky, it's muscly, it's got weight to it. It's solid. I know where my money is gone when I'm holding this figure in my hand. But moving on, as I said, from bottom to top, we'll have a look at his footwear. And it is a split boot design. There is a bit of articulation, nothing outrageous. Very stiff. I'm almost afraid to articulate it. It's extremely stiff. And they do have a really nice leathery look to them. They have this kind of brown wash running through them. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick up on that, guys, but there's a nice brown wash just to highlight the leather effect to it. On the front there, where them gold accents are, there's a nice wash put in it as well to make it look, weathered and used. Looks really nice. Even all the way up the gauntlet there, you can see that brown wash in that gauntlet part there, or the top of the boot, should I say. The brown wash just to highlight the leathery effect to it and make it look like there's a bit of dirt in there. And you can see there's a good strong mold in the zip part as well. It's really defined. And then at the back there, we have these kind of gold accents again, which, to be quite honest with you, I'd never noticed in the movie. But there's a nice bit of wash in them. They look worn, they look weathered, and they look absolutely fine. There is, I don't know whether it's the way my one's posed because the ankle is very stiff, but there is a bit of an off step here at the back. If I can just move this cape out of the way, there is a bit of an off step on the mold here, which juts out just a little bit too far, way further than that one. And maybe if I have the courage to just push that ankle out a little bit, it might clear it up. But the way that kind of hoofs out there at the back isn't ideal. This one here is absolutely fine, which leads me to believe that that ankle peg is just out of sync, and I might have to try and just push that out a little bit more. For the record, guys, I did fix the issue, just as you can see there on camera. It was an issue with the peg was pushed all the way back, and it was just so stiff that I was afraid of breaking something. So I had to take the leg, the foot off. I had to unpeg it and push it out and then put the leg back on. But carrying on, where was I? Moving on, yes, we have his legs, and they are some massive, massive thighs. The suit texture is this really fine, really thin. Is it rubber? It feels more like a vinyl. It's like a really thin, soft vinyl effect. These creases that are all in it, they're actually molded into the suit, which, don't ask me how Hot Toys done it, but it adds that bit more realism, to the suit, having these molded creases in. And those muscles there are not fat suit. That is actually all molded plastic underneath that suit. There's no fat suit under there whatsoever. That is a solid chunk of figure, a solid chunk of a body. You can see there where all the muscles kind of protrude and where they all kind of come out. You can see that there is this kind of gold effect, put into it. It's all kind of airbrushed effects on the suit, which highlights some of the features of the suit and some of the raised parts. And you can see the texture of the suit there, all the detail in it. There's a massive amount of texture and scratches in the suit, and there's wear in the suit. It absolutely looks amazing. And again, at the top there, more this kind of creasing effect that's been molded into the suit. And then moving up to his belt, it is absolutely on point for a Batflex utility belt. It does have, again, all wear in it. There's scratches in it with a little bit of a silver wash put into the scratches. It's all worn, it's all weathered, it's all used. it's, you can see all those wear marks in it. None of the pouches are open, not really necessary. But moving around to the side here again, you can see just all these scratches, all unique scratches in them, and there is a bit of a texture to the, to those pouches. There's a bit of a texture to them, and it sits quite nicely on his hips, and it absolutely looks the part, looks great. Moving up to his torso area, again, what a chunk of a body that this figure has. It's absolutely massive. You can see the details of each ab there. You can see all the side of his kind of rib cage, which is on point as far as I can remember. And then again, you can see all this kind of gold wash in the abs and all the muscles that kind of protrude, which, looking at photographs of the Batfleck suit, it's on point. It did have all these gold pieces in it, or gold kind of airbrushing in it, and more of those creases in the suit again to give that realism. And having a look at the bat emblem on the suit, to me it looks on point. Is it a little bit too high? I'd have to look back on photographs again. It just looks very close to, it's almost about to cover the bat emblem, it's almost about to cover. It's not covering it, but it just meets it, and I don't know how accurate that is. I'd have to look back, but the detail in the bat's emblem is absolutely on point. There is all scratches in it and wear in it where it's been through the wars, it's been through battle, and looks absolutely on point. And there is a nice kind of relief on it there as well. If you can see there, if I turn it to the side, you can see that there is, a nice relief on it, and it does come out from the suit, so it just kind of shows that separation, between the suit and the emblem sitting on it. It really looks well. On his arms again, all of these creases that have been molded into the suit. Don't ask me how Hot Toys done it. It looks fantastic. It feels fantastic, and it works. It does work. You can see on the arm there the definition in the tricep area, the bicep. It's big, it's bulky, it's burly. It looks natural. The deltoid is nicely rounded off, and just look at that tricep. The lump of that tricep sticking out there looks great. And there is a nice bit of articulation. The suit is so thin that articulation isn't really affected by it. It looks and feels great. Looking at his gauntlets there, you can see again on theme. It's got all the wash in it. These pieces here that stick out, I don't know, for some reason, they remind me of the Robert Pattinson Batman. The shape of them, they're not as long as the Pattinson ones, but they're similar in shape. They're not like the old school Batman ones, but you can see that they're all three separate pieces, all kind of glued in there, and absolutely look the part with that gold accent and the brown wash running through all the gauntlet to show off that leather effect. And there is kind of damage and scratches on these parts here as well. That is a really great attention to detail. And as I mentioned earlier, he has his closed fist on him. Again, this cape is, in my opinion, one of Hot Toys, if not Hot Toys' best drape cape to date. It looks absolutely fantastic, and again, like the wired one, it has more dirt and weathering on the bottom of it and looks on point for the movie, like it's been dragged through the mud. Just having a quick look at the back there, you can see again we have on theme some of this gold kind of airbrushing on the suit, which looks on point and it looks really good. And then the back of the belt, is that pleather? I can't tell if that's pleather or leather. I'm not going to say whether it's either because I can't really tell. It kind of feels like it's real leather, to be honest, guys. it could possibly be real leather. Just looking at his back muscles there, you can see his lats there. They might be a little bit oversized. There's a bit of a lump there sticking out, but no big deal. And we have a zip at the back there, and we'll explain why we have a zip in a moment. So there we have the body of him, and then we have obviously the head sculpt that is non-articulated. It doesn't move. It is one complete mold, as you can see there. It looks absolutely fine. If they only gave me this head sculpt, would I have complained? Yeah, I probably would have. Yeah, I probably would have. Yeah, because I know Ben Affleck is the first Batman to kind of get the cowl, the full cowl, right where it was, the mask was glued onto his head, so he could turn his head without separating the cowl, like Christian Bale did and like Robert Pattinson did. So yeah, it's nice that they gave us two head sculpts, one articulated and one fully sculpted. Just something else I'll point out as well is that these arms are ratcheted. When you lift them out like that, they are kind of ratcheted, so they will hold the pose absolutely fine. It's more of a ratchet out kind of that way than forward, but he is stiff enough to hold pretty much any pose. His knee joints are ratcheted as well. So, and there's a ratchet in the top of the leg as well. So he should hold pretty much any pose quite well. So there we have it for the figure itself, the chunk of a Batman that it is. It's an absolute tank of a figure, as I said. I'm really, really impressed with this. So what we'll do now is I'll punch in on the face plates, and we'll have a look at each face plate side by side, and we'll get into the details of those. Actually, before we get into the face plates, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you how the head sculpts are swapped out, how you put the uncowled head sculpt on. Not easy, guys. Absolute nightmares. Not something I do very often. Just take off the fully molded head sculpt, take off the cape, and you can see that's quite the contraption there with the new pegs that they're using. You've got to pull the zip down a bit, if I can get a grip on it there. Come on, there we go. Just pull it down a little bit just to allow for the neck piece. Let me just put this to the side for a second and take the head sculpt off the stand. You've got to allow for the neck piece. I've got to take this piece off as well. I beg your pardon, guys. This is my first time doing this, by the way, so I'm sure, if I was to do it more than once, I'd kind of get a bit more used to it. And there we go, I've got that piece off. And you've just kind of worked the neck piece in under the suit. I haven't got that open enough, and you can't open it anymore. There's a little stitch in there stopping you from opening that any further. So yeah, that's as far as that's gonna open. There's a little stitch in there, so you've got to kind of work the neck piece in, and not the easiest thing in the world to do. A bit daunting, a bit scary. Can I get this in? There's no unzipping that. I kind of wish that would have unzipped a little bit more, but there is a little stitch in there stopping you from zipping that down anymore, so I'm gonna have to work around it. With the limited amount of room I have, I'm gonna have to work this neck piece in, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. As you can see, I'm absolutely struggling and petrified at the same time that something's gonna give or pinch, or it's not something I'd like to do regularly. Or maybe if I'd done it more than once, I'd kind of work out how to do it. But am I getting there? This hair piece has come off. Just get that off for now. I'm kind of getting there. And there we have it clipped in. Thank God for that. And it's in place. And let's get this kind of all worked around and sitting back right and zipped up. A bit of a nuisance, not something I'd want to be doing on a regular basis. I really wouldn't. It's a bit scary. It's kind of bunched up there as well, because you got to allow for the neck piece And if I can just get all this closed up, it feels like it might not go up fully. You just got to kind of work at it, guys. Got to take your time and don't rush it. And there we go, zipped up. And there we have the uncowled head sculpt on. It's kind of bunching up there a little bit, which I'm not entirely happy about. I don't like the way that's kind of bunched up there. It will be covered by the cape though, but maybe a little bit more foots and I'll get everything kind of lined up right and you know, and sitting right. It's not something I'd like to be doing very often though. As I said, I just don't like the way that's sitting there. It's just bunched up there a little bit. Is it the way I did it? I don't know. It's my first time doing this, as I said, but that's kind of the best I can get it now without boring the heck out of you guys. So you get the idea. There is a lot of foots and to get that on. But let me take this head sculpt off and get this cape on. You can see the hole there at the neck piece, which we'll get to that now in a second. Put that head sculpt back on. Hair piece back on there, the messy hair piece, like he's just taken off the cowl. And as you can see, it's all loose there. It doesn't sit right. The cape doesn't sit right because you're supposed to, if I can find the smallest accessory that we have, where have I put it? It's there somewhere. I seen it just a second ago. There it is. And we have this piece here with the diamond on it, just kind of plugs into the center of the cape and covers, you know, where it all meets up and holds everything in place. If I can get it lined up properly, there we go. I can't remember what way that goes. Does it go that way or that way? For illustrative purposes, it doesn't really matter. There you go, guys. That was horrible to do. Really, really horrible to do, and not something I'd be doing again. Once I get that cowl sculpt back on, I'm leaving it on. I'm not doing that ever again. But there you have them there for the uncowled head sculpt on the body. Why you'd have them like that, I don't know, when you have that badass cowl. Maybe if you have the Jazz Ink back computer, it might look okay actually. But let's get a close-up on the 3 face plates, and then we'll have a look at this head sculpt up close as well. And here we have, actually having a look at the cowled sculpt. This is the articulated one, and as you can see there, it looks badass. It looks on point. This is the sculpt I'll be using from. I don't think the fixed sculpt is necessary given how good this one looks. You can just kind of see the join in it there, which it's not the end of the world. You know, once you have the head kind of turned to an angle, you don't see the join because his jaw is so wide. It absolutely looks the part. The texture on it is fantastic. You can see the neck piece is exactly textured the same way as the cowl. This is obviously the open mouth, or the slightly open mouth faceplate on him, but look at the aggression in that cowl. That is absolutely spot on. Those sculpted in furrowed eyebrows, the nastiness of it, you know, the anger, the ears are on point, they're the right length, and the sculpt looks absolutely fantastic. The texture in it is fantastic. You can see just in the eyes there that there is that kind of black eye makeup just in the corners there, and it does look like eye makeup. You can kind of see a little hint of skin tone in there, you know, in the corners. It really does look like eye makeup. Brown eyes, just like Ben Affleck has. And there is, if you look closely, you can see there is also an eyelash subtly painted in there as well. It looks absolutely amazing. I love how angry that cowl looks, you know, how aggressive it looks. That, you know, those eyebrows molded into the cowl look great. And just pointing out there real quick, we do kind of have the mole there that Ben Affleck has on the side of his face, which is on point. And we have some nice 5 o'clock shadow in there. But let's put the 3 face plates. No, let's have a look at the uncowled head sculpt up close and personal. And here we have it here, the uncowled Affleck head sculpt. And I'm quite happy with it. I think it does look on point for Ben Affleck at the time. It's got the typical Ben Affleck features, you know. He's got his dimpled chin. He's, as I pointed out, he has the mole on the side of his face. He's got some nice wrinkles on his forehead, which are not overpronounced, unlike the Return of the Jedi Han Solo. In my opinion, I wasn't overly impressed with the wrinkles in Han Solo's forehead. Just looking at the side profile there, as I said, we have the mole there on the side of his face, which is on point. It's right size and it's in the right place. It looks like, looks like it should. You can see there is really textured skin there. There's textured 5 o'clock shadow there, and it runs into his neck as well. You can see there, and it just very subtly in his neck there, you can see that it runs into his neck, which is absolutely fantastic that they've added that to the neck as well. It doesn't just stop at the jawline, you know. Everything seems to be on point for Affleck as far as I can tell. The nose, the lips, the eyebrows, the eye colour, and, you know, at the side of his hair there, we have slightly kind of going grey bits at the side there, which is on point for him in the movie. I really do like that 5 o'clock shadow that they've put, down as far as his neck. It's not there when he's looking straight on, but as you turn it to the side, it just reveals a bit of it there, which it looks amazing. I think it's great what they've done with that neck piece. Looking at the hair, it's sculpted, I'm going to say okay. I'm just going to change out the hair piece there. Just, you can see it's just magnetized there, and I'll put on that messy one there. Just, you can see the difference in the 2 pieces. And it gives him that kind of messy. I've just taken off the head, the cowl look, which is probably how if I was going to pose him like this, with the uncowled head sculpt on, that's the hair piece I'd use, because it looks like he's just taken the cowl off. Just turning around to the hair, like I said, there is that separation where that piece comes off, and it blends in quite well. It's not too pronounced, it doesn't look over exaggerated. It's nicely done. The hair, like I said, I call it okay. It's not the best Hot Toys hair sculpt I've ever seen, but it is better than most other 1/6 scale companies' hair. It does everything it needs to do. There is separation. You can see all the strands. It's all wavy. You can see, like I said, the individual hair at the bottom of it there is all staggered, which adds to that realism. And if you just have a look at the neck there, look at the skin texture in that neck, guys. That is amazing that they've even gone to the lengths of putting it into the neck to match the face. It's not a smooth neck sculpt. It is textured like skin. And there is like a brown kind of wash running through the hair, and that catches the light sometimes. And just at the top there, you can just see where the roots are, where there is kind of that brown little wash in it. And it all looks really well. It looks nice. The locks are feathered in really well. And, they blend into that grey piece at the side quite nicely. And this piece here at the front has kind of got like a wash in it as well to make it look as though light is catching it. And yeah, it does look really good. I really like this head sculpt. It looks pretty on point for Affleck at the time, and I am going to try and get a suit for this head sculpt and get it on. But what I'm gonna do is to show you the neck. As I said, look at the texture in that neck, guys. And that shading in it to make it look like a bit of stubble is down to his neck, and the crease lines in the neck. It looks absolutely fabulous. What I'm doing there, guys, as well, as I'm just giving him a slight little eye turn just to show you the effects of the rolling eyeball function. Not too much of a turn in the eye there, but a little bit of a turn in the eye, which adds a bit more life to the figure. You know, it looks way better with that little bit of eye turn. That was done a bit crudely, guys. It might be a bit off center, I can't really tell, but there you go, guys. There is the head sculpt, and the texture in the skin, just I can't get over it. It looks absolutely fantastic. These sculpts are just getting better and better, guys. So there we have it for the uncowled sculpt, guys. And here we have the 3 faceplates side by side. As you can see, the one on the left is the slightly open mouth. The one in the middle, being probably my favorite one, is the closed mouth. And then we have the really aggressive, really defined one on the right hand side. As I said earlier, probably my least favorite, just having a look from the side profile. The one on the left looks less like Ben Affleck, if you ask me. The really aggressive one that I just said I don't like looks more like Affleck than the one on the far left, in my opinion. The one in the middle kind of always looks like Affleck, if you ask me. But yeah, it's, you know, they're not, none of them are absolutely atrocious like the previous Flash Batman face plates. They were absolutely atrocious. These look far, far better, even though, like I said, the one on the far right there is my least favorite. I'm still okay with it. You can see it has a bit more 5 o'clock shadow on it. The teeth are really, really well defined in this figure. In the faceplates that show the teeth, they look absolutely fantastic, and they do look like Ben Affleck's teeth. You know, like I said, none of them are absolutely terrible, guys. And here I've put the 2 cowled head sculpts beside each other. You can see the one on the left is the articulated one, just to see if there's any difference in them, and there isn't. They are absolutely the same, except for the articulation. The texture in the cowl down to the separate neck piece on them there is, you know, on the one on the left is on point. They look exactly the same. Obviously the one that's one mold looks exactly the same. Little tiny little bit of a seam line running up the ear, but nothing, you know, outrageous. So guys, there you have it. Please do hit that like and subscribe. I know this was a long one. I appreciate you if you sat through it all, and please take care and look out for future content. Thanks a lot.